We have a little bit of Joe Milton news that is not favorable. That does not surprise me. And I do not want to be the guy who is throwing him under the bus. So, Caleb, I would like for you to take over what has been reported, and of which said reporting I have done none.
Yes, guys. Dave is the anonymous AFC personnel executive that has been quoted here, just so you all know.
Distancing myself from this story. As a matter of fact, I was in Antigua, I believe, that week. I've never been to Antigua, but let's say I was.
Okay, so ahead of this is according to Boston Sports Journal's Greg Bedard. He recently spoke with an anonymous
Never heard of a Bedard man.
Recently spoke with an anonymous AFC senior personnel executive about the pre-draft concerns surrounding Patriots selections last month.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest concern with Milton is that
before you tell me, let me work in an important read. Sports Treasures, carrying over 5 million sports treasures and so much more. Follow on Facebook for the best sports memorabilia, daily updates. Sports Treasures TN, Sports Treasures TN. Follow them on Facebook. They had Zakai Ziegler in over the weekend. It was awesome. All right. What was said about Joe Milton by the Boston Public?
Milton was noted as a, quote, good kid, but there were concerns pointed out about the fact that he is also a quote-unquote partier. There were questions about his maturity. And the quote, the executive said, quote, he was still on our board, but he was heavy maintenance, and the main thing was just like the pro approach. He's a partier, or at least he was earlier in his career. Confidence, mental toughness, and how he handled losing his job his second year, there were some concerns with that. And then the last part that's, to be fair, I want to be totally fair. The next part was, but by all accounts, he was a good kid, just immature. However, then they went on to add, it was a concern that he was immature at 24 years old. It wasn't like he was immature at 18 years old. And I think that is where people are raising some red flags.
So I never understood why people got so excited about Lee Corso making a pick, because your local media knows your team better than Lee Corso does or other ones. As a matter of fact, they ask, hey, what can you tell me about that guy or that guy? So I'm going to tell you what's true about that report and what's not. If you notice, Caleb, I didn't ask who that was because I don't want to know, because I'm going to tell you what's true and what's not. And I don't want to be put in a situation where that happens to be a friend of mine and I feel like I want to be a little bit nicer to him. So I'm not going to do that. So give me the first sentiment. I'll tell you what's true or not and whether or not we reported it a year ago.
The first part, he is a good kid, but a partier.
Okay.
That's crazy.
That's not true. Now partier by my definition. Partier, by my definition, is a guy who likes altered states, likes to be up till 3 or 4 in the morning. That to me is a partier. Is he a fun kid who, likes to have a good time? Yeah, let's throw this. Come on, check it. Go deep. Let's play. Let's throw it a little longer. That type of guy. Is that a partier, light-hearted guy? Maybe in some definitions, but I would disagree with that. Next
So you would say he's a happy-go-lucky guy, not necessarily a partier.
Definitely, but to me, those are two different things. You tell me my son's happy-go-lucky, I'm like glad, good. He doesn't have a lot of stress right now in his life. You tell me he's a partier, I'm like, holy hell, we got a problem.
Right.
We're stopping now. Caleb, you've got the ship. Dave's driving to Massachusetts because we got a partier on our hands. You see how those are way different terms.
Right. Totally understand.
You'd be the same way. All right. Next sentiment.
Okay. So that he was heavy maintenance and the pro approach was a concern, and confidence and mental toughness were questions.
Hey now.
I think that's fair. I think a backup quarterback is heavy maintenance 9 times out of 10. And I think he probably was, especially the way he lost his job. So I think that's probably fair. Heavy maintenance, I was not specifically, that word was not used with me, but I'm willing to say that that's probably fair. What next? So I've defended him on one.
The few more, actually, you said something because I was curious about this quote because I thought he handled it well, but how he handled losing his job his second year, there were some concerns with that. Now, I don't know if they mean his second year at Michigan because he lost his job his first year at Tennessee. But I thought he handled losing his job at Tennessee very well, honestly.
To me, it reads like the second time, and
That's crazy.
that's unfair for them. As a matter of fact, I'll throw another. I don't know this person.
You suck, you jackass.
I don't see how you could handle it any better than staying there knowing you're probably not going to play, and you're what seems like an never-ending clock is ticking. You've only got 2 years left when he went in for his year behind Hooker. So he had 22, he had 23. Everything had to break right for him to be the starter in 2023. What other sentiment is out there? Because I'm kind of having a little bit of fun defending Joe Milton, because I think a lot of people have been very, very unfair to him. Give me the next one first. I'll tell you, Quality Tire Pro, the Eberle family has been serving Chattanooga in the community since 1957. All major brands of tires, full service automotive, brake, alignments, oil changes, and more. All work is covered by a nationwide warranty. Cherokee Blvd or online at qualitytirepros.com, or just tell them that Off the Hook Sports said, "Hey, Bo." Greatly appreciate that. Off the Hook's sending you to Quality Tire Pro. What's the next sentiment? And by the way, a new advertiser we want to announce here before the end of the program that we're very excited about. And let's just say that we won't stir fry the issue. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a restaurant. I don't know. All right, what's the next sentiment?
Okay, so the other part, and the final part, I think, is but by all accounts, he was a good kid, just immature. But it was a concern because he was 24 years old and immature.
Hey now.
Yeah. It's a happy-go-lucky dude. I was a happy-go-lucky guy until I was, and I still am more so than most 50-year-olds, but you know, I think you and I both, probably by what we choose to do, are in and of itself, the moment should matter. It's not just the end. It's not to sound like everybody's favorite, but you should enjoy the process, right?
I agree. And so I guess basically what they're saying kind of makes me think, and it's funny. It's kind of the vibe I got. My favorite player that got me into sports was Ken Griffey Jr. in the 90s. And it's almost like the vibe they give him with this, right? Because Griffey always seemed like he didn't work that hard because he was just the kid and having fun playing the game. You know what I mean? And that's the way they seem to be describing Joe Milton, and they describe it like it's a problem. So long story short, we know about the accuracy
I will
issues.
tell you, too, though, he did not give off that vibe in person. The one time I interviewed him, he was all business. His son was in a
Griffey?
football. Yes. His son was in a football game. You were not around. That whole kid thing, I don't know if he's mad because his career was beset by injuries, but he was a different dude.
He got a little bitter in the 2000s.
Yeah. And who would blame him? He would have gone down as being the second Willie Mays.
Well, also, when you're considered a flop, when everybody surpassing you is doing roids and you're not. And so, yeah. So the one thing I would say with Milton, so is it fair to say we agree that his questions about his accuracy are fair? Questions about his ability to process quickly are fair. Can we safely say that this anonymous report is Bush League and out of bounds because it's so blatantly not true?
I thought it was completely unfair. I saw it, and I was actually just going to let it go. And trust me, that's the type of thing that's an instant segment for us. So I should have been like, oh, let's get this one. And I sent it to Caleb, and he didn't have the subscription, which might have been good. But I'm glad we did it, because I wanted to put it to bed right now. Would you have a championship program if your baseline was Joe Milton as a quarterback? And the answer is yes, you would. If Josh Heupel had a chance to work with him from 17 and a half to 18 years old, he would have anticipated better. He would have done an incredible job with Joe Milton. There's no doubt in my mind. Got to him a little bit late. I don't think he's a great anticipator, never will be. But the quarterback he always reminded me of was Brett Favre. He actually has enough physical ability where he could overcome being a great anticipator, because he's not that. Favre wasn't either. Caleb, I think he has
Favre wasn't Favre did anticipate a lot of things. Well, he also anticipated a Jets cheerleader being interested in him if he just sent him a very inappropriate pic. He actually thought that was going to work.
He didn't anticipate that you could save those pictures.
I mean, now he anticipated where to steal welfare money from in the low character sleazeball POS that he is, stealing money from poor kids in Mississippi to build a volleyball
Elias
stadium.
is right. I think he improved a lot, and he did improve a lot, and they improved a lot with how to. Somebody told me this, okay, that I met with, and this guy has played more quarterback than you can ever imagine. But he said, you know what Joe Milton doesn't, this will blow your mind, Caleb. He said, you know what Joe Milton doesn't get enough credit for? Not throwing it over the middle. Said everybody says that they would throw the wide screens, and they would. But there were times where Joe Milton didn't throw it over the middle because he knew he would throw it hot and it would be in danger, because you're 10 times more likely to get a tip ball over the middle intercepted than not. All right. So anyway, that's my defense of Joe Milton. If you could have him for the rest of your coaching career, most coaches, 99.9% would take that, except for maybe a David Cutcliffe, a Jeff Tedford, and maybe a Josh Heupel.